Hello, everyone. Thank you for choosing this presentation. Um, my name is Marija Lazić, and I'm from Serbia, Maritime Spatial Planner. And the case study I'm going to present started during my internship semester in the University of Marke, where I was involved on the AMER project which aim on establishment of the large transboundary marine managed area. And my co-supervisor was Vasiliki Markantonatou. So what I'm going to present is how to strategically use relationships between stakeholders, their relationship, to build effective governance, and how the knowledge of the stakeholders can help us in the planning process. So the social network analysis, it is science, but is part of our daily life. So social networking we are using in our daily life. We communicate with our friends, with our business partners, and network analysis we are also using in every action that includes involvement of other person. So if we want to approach someone, we need someone for a certain action. If we need that person, if we know that person, we are going straight to that person. But if not, we then search around our network and find the person who may bridge our communication. So that is the main point of this social network analysis. So stakeholders can be any individual or group that can affect or be affected by the certain action. Their involvement in planning process is important because they are bringing information, knowledge, mutual understanding, or any other input that they have. Their involvement make our process more transparent, equal for everyone, and bridge the communication between public and governance authorities. So increasing use of the stakeholder analysis in the marine management, in marine environment management, shows the importance of stakeholder engagement in the planning process, that they should be included and they should influence the planning process. Stakeholder analysis is this analysis examine the stakeholder analysis examine the so with the stakeholder analysis, we have a categorization and do the prioritization of the stakeholders, but complementary method for analyzing the relationships between the stakeholders is the part of the social network analysis. With this analysis, we can identify central roles or peripheral stakeholders who are less involved. And in this study, the maritime spatial planning was used not only for allocation and management of the human activities, but also to clarify institutional roles and their responsibilities and interaction between the actors. So this is the case study, Central Adriatic, with a different jurisdictional order between these two countries. Croatia, for example, has established environmental and fishery protected area, while Italy doesn't have established EEZ. So this is the first difference between these two countries. So the objectives of the study were to examine supportive legal frameworks, to understand the Central Adriatic social network, their relationships and characteristics, to identify important stakeholders and who are the hubs, who has a hub role in the network of the Central Adriatic, and to investigate possible ways to boost communication between stakeholders. So methodology of the work, first was the policy analysis, where through the examination of the legislation, we identified the preliminary stakeholder list. There were 32 stakeholders identified. Next step was conducting the online survey and interviews, where we asked stakeholders about their frequency and level of communication with other stakeholders from the preliminary list, but also we asked them to nominate other stakeholders who were not included, but they consider them important to be involved in the process, and that method is called snowball sampling. Through this sampling, we identified 3 more stakeholders. And the final list was made of 35 stakeholders. These lists were used later for the social network analysis and identification of the central actors. To explain you short about the social network analysis. So this is one network, and we have 2 important person in this network. This is this lady on the blue circle. She is the person who has a lot of links. She has a high degree centrality, and she is the person who is trusted, who is powerful, and she has a popularity. And because of her popularity, she can be considered as a leader in the network. While on another side, there is another person, the guy on the red circle. He has the bridging role between these 2 groups. So if we exclude this guy, we will have 2 completely separated networks. So if we exclude this guy, we won't have one group of the stakeholders involved in our planning process. So for the calculation of the centralization, we used UCNet software, and for visualization, we used NetDraw software. And on this chart, you can see the social network of the Central Adriatic Sea. Here we present the most powerful stakeholders and the leaders and important stakeholders who may take the initiative and taking action for our plan. Nothing on this chart is occasional, and nothing was drawn by myself. Even the Croatia is on one side and Italy on another side, and internationals in the middle. It was not drawn by myself. It's everything is based on the answers of the stakeholders on the survey and the interviews. Shapes present stakeholders. Different shapes present different operational scale. Size of the shape presents their power. Lines present the communication between the stakeholders, and thickness of the line present the quality of their relationship, if it's strong or weak communication. So first, what we can see on this chart is that the network is really dispersed, and we can see the polarization between the countries. On the international scale, we can see a couple of international stakeholders who are important. Is WWF, UNEP, IUCN, while the UNEP is the most powerful stakeholder in the central for the Adriatic area, which is not strange because of their international role, and they run a lot of environmental protection actions. Another is also important is WWF, and also it's not strange that they got a lot of nominations, because everyone knows for Panda, everyone wants to be close to these central and popular people or institutions. Another who declare themselves less important for for this action, for establishment of the management area in the Adriatic Sea was FARNET, that is fishery network on the EU level. And that is the reason why they are marginalized on the edge. They declare themselves less important. So still, all these institutions keep the middle position, which is bridging role between these two countries. Within the countries, what we can see is what I forgot to say is the sectors are defined with the colors. So the red color present environmentalist. Blue is fishery sector, and environmental fishery sector is the yellow one. Those are mainly local authorities, regions and counties for Croatia. So what we can see on the Croatian side is their aim on environment. That is the first, and their closeness in the environment, and that shows their power and interest for the environment. From another side, in Italy, we can see the central role are fishery sector, and a bit smaller is here. A bit smaller is the Ministry of Environment, which also shows the power of the fishery sector in Italy over the environment. Another interesting things are these two institutions. One is a research institute, ISMAR, and another is Federpesca, that is fishery cooperative. And here is Ministry of the Agriculture and Fisheries in Italy. So from this we can see the power of the cooperatives in the fishery sector, while the Ministry of Fisheries have a really lower role in their network. That means that stakeholders from the cooperatives may change the minister, which is not good. On another side, we have environmentalists who are close to the international institutions, and that can show us that can be easier to establish some environmental protected area than fishery restricted area. Because of their closeness, that shows the power of environmental protection. On this chart, we can see the institutions who have a bridging role between these two countries. In this case, the stakeholders and colors present different role in the planning process. There are policymakers, scientists, NGOs, and commercial institutions. So in this case, we see that in Croatia, there is a central governance. The governance is centralized on the ministries and the authorities, while on the Italian side there is a power of the scientists in their network. So if we want to improve communication in Croatia, we need to approach ministries, but in Italy we should go to the scientific institutions. Still, we have the most important bridge is UNEP map. And importance of, I spoke about the weak and strong ties. If we exclude weak ties, what we can consider less important, these charts show that they are important because we lost this network is even more dispersed. We also lost some stakeholder. He's not included. He was marginalized. They were marginalized, but still they were in the planning process. But now they are excluded completely. On another side, we have different order. This is Federkopesca, who was smaller, but now became a bigger. They don't have a lot of they don't have a lot of links to be powerful, but they have really strong links. That is important, like we are doing with our friends. We cannot fight with our close friends. That is this can be to choose between the bridges. This chart with a strong ties can help us which bridging institution to choose. Okay. I spoke about all of this I wanted to. So at the end, what is the results of the examining the structure of the network of the Central Adriatic Sea? We can see that the communication is really low, that countries are polarized and bridged with international institutions. Communication on the national scale, we can see the power of the fisheries sector in Italy and power of the authorities in Croatia. And we can see the importance of embedding the weak actors in the engagement process. So suggestions then can be to have more studies on with this subject, to deepen the knowledge of the regional stakeholders and the existence of many regional initiative that exists, and to take international stakeholders to promote the communication between these two countries through the workshops, through the projects, and any other way. So how the social network analysis can help to the transboundary MSP? So the social network analysis helps to make the planning process more effective and efficient, show us who can promote our plan and who can improve the governance and support our action, help us to understand and overpass multi-level and multi-sectoral challenges, disseminate different voices to be heard and included in the planning process. Also, it's important to place our role in the network. What is our position in that network? So it is important what we know, but it's important who we know. That gives us opportunity. So keep up with your network, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, and you even saved some time. Now the floor is open for questions. We have opportunity to ask questions. Yes, Anni.
Yes, hey, I'm Anni Konsap from the Estonian Ministry of Finance. I just have one small question. You presented the stakeholder analysis there with the different shapes and sizes and things like that. And you also said that one of the characteristics you defined the stakeholders with was power. Yes. What does that mean?
Power means being leader, being someone who is popular, being someone who is trusted. For example, the best example is WWF. Everyone wants to talk with them. Everyone wants to bring some information to them. And everyone knows for Panda, if they say something, okay, WWF said that. That is power they can control the information flow through the network. So they are spreading the information and getting a lot of information.
Yes.
Well, I come from Croatia, from the Croatian Institute for Spatial Development. And first of all, I would like to make a slight correction. Croatia suspended its decision on proclamation, the ecological fishery protected zone. Okay. So we are thinking about it, or we are thinking about the economic exclusive zone. So
okay. Thank you for that.
That is the first. And my question is, what authorities did you contact in Croatia when doing this analysis?
State Institute for Environmental Protection, AZO, who were not allowed to answer on my survey because I was student, not any institution. But still, we included them in the research. IOF, it's Institute for Oceanography and Fisheries, Ministries of Environment, Agriculture for the Planning, some cooperatives, local governance
Okay, that's enough for me. Thanks.
So-
But I must say that these were results of my final thesis for the MSP. But currently we are working on on more accurate data for the next step of the plan of this AMER project. So currently we have 70 stakeholders. So we extended the list of important stakeholders for the Central Adriatic Sea.
Okay, during the next session there will be presentation on Croatian planning system and how it's developing in reality, sort of. But now it's really important to note some lessons from this presentation, that the stakeholder network is important when you make MSP, and to know who are the informal leaders within these stakeholders. That's important and also a challenge to find it out.
Yeah, and again, like the lady said, there is the strong words to say that someone is less important or someone is more important, but I didn't invent that. They answered me. They told me.
Important is to include all the possible stakeholders in the process. Okay, thank you very much for this. There's still quite a lot. Steven.
Oh, yes, thank you. It's Stephen J. from Liverpool University. Thank you very much for a very interesting and thorough piece of work that you presented there. My question is, to what extent do you think that the kind of structures of stakeholders, as you demonstrated very well, actually affect planning outcomes? For example, you mentioned that environmental NGOs are very well placed because of their closeness to ministries. So therefore, you might expect to see that reflected in the plans, such as MPAs, but in fact, as the comment from Croatia that we just heard calls that into question. So maybe planning outcomes only bear a certain resemblance to the actions of stakeholders. And I wonder what your view on that would be, the kind of relative importance, if you like, of stakeholders in determining planning outcomes.
In my view, this can serve to predict the outcome, possible outcome, and how you should start. Because, for example, in the Central Adriatic, there is one area that is environmental protection area, and the restriction done was on the fishing activity. There is a bottom trawling. So when they were called like fishery restricted area, they could not establish it. So they starting with environmental protection, but doing the fishery restriction, they could manage. Actually, it's agreement between these two countries, but naming it environmental area, it's much easier to enforce the action than. So this can help for the outcome, to predict the possible outcome and involve stakeholders who are powerful and how we can take our action. I answer.
Yes, Alec Taylor from WWF. I'm very pleased to see that WWF is very popular. And powerful, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, maybe not so popular. I guess my question is, it looks like a really good piece of work and something which we would want to encourage in other regions. How much time, effort and money did that project take?
Okay, there were the lacks of and troubles for this research. First, there is importance to have a good reference and to be recommended from someone. So that is the first what I faced when I was going like Marija Lazić from Serbia, talking about Croatia and Italy, like, okay, who you are. So you need a good background, supported with institution. Also, there is high costs can be because of the distribution of the stakeholders. I had stakeholders in Zagreb, in Croatia, in Rome, in Brussels, in Athens for UNEP, and they are really those are expenses for this analysis. And yes, sometimes if the stakeholders are really high ranked, it's hard to reach them. So that takes some time. So It's timely and it's costly a bit.
Okay, and then we take the last question and move forward.
Thanks indeed, Talis. Ministry of Environment, Lithuania. Actually, when you say you have this ranking, and then when we have legal acts concerning public participation, we do not rank. We give everybody equal rights. So I wonder, on one side you are ranking and even taking influence. Of course, they are more influential, less influential in society. Of course, they are really working in the sea, or they are just interested public. It always makes difference at the end, but formally it shouldn't be, so to say, biased. And I wonder, higher ranked and equal rights on one side, and then how long does it last? Because if you make certain excavation during the project preparation period, it means that maybe you have to do the same each time with each project. So 2 points. How can you react to it?
About the power, who has more power or less power, this is the point of knowing who are the powerful stakeholders, because they have a power to bring marginalized stakeholders in the network. Sorry?
Versus equal rights.
So they should take initiatives and bring the marginalized stakeholders to the network. So that's why we identify them and see who exists in the network, but it's not heard enough. And about the time, I don't know if I can answer on this question, but those are really high-ranked institutions. If it's about the international institution, or ministries, or some important scientific institutions of the institutes in the countries, it cannot change a lot. Their importance within the country is the same. It cannot change during the time or during another project.
I believe we can have a separate discussion on stakeholder participation. We had in the first forum a separate working session on stakeholder participation. Thank you very much for this presentation. We have to move forward. Sorry, Alexandros. So when we move forward to the Black Sea, to MARSPLAN project, why? Because MARSPLAN is kind of a sister project to Baltic SCOPE. They both are funded by DG MAR and started almost the same time. And I'm very happy that at the very last moment, a colleague from Romania agreed to step in and have such a presentation about the MARSPLAN project. What is happening and what are the outcomes? Thank you.
Okay, it's open. I don't know to use this. It's for every slide or to show something on the screen. Ah, look. I'm sorry.
You move forward like this.
I suppose you move. Oh, okay.
Or if you want, you can ask me to do it.
No. Show me and I will do.
Yeah, with this, with arrows. It's force.
Ah, okay. The presentation is about Black Sea. Black Sea is not black. Black Sea is blue, and is more blue on the Turkish coast because Black Sea is an internal sea, and it's a brackish one, and have a very short communication with Mediterranean Sea by Aegean and Marmara, and the very salty water at 33 degrees comes in the Black Sea on the deeper layers, and on the surface layers it's more fresh. In the western part, where we have the big pressure from Danube and other very big 3 rivers from Ukraine, and I'm sure that you hear about them, Dnieper, Dniester, and Don. And because of this, our sea have a very specific characteristics. 2 different layers with different salinities, with different temperatures, with different densities, and also big pressure around from all countries. And it's a high of instability, not by ecological point of view, also by demographical point of view, economical point of view, and political point of view. The 7 countries being Romania, Bulgaria as member states, and the other very big powers, Turkey, Russia, it is also Georgia, and 3 kilometers of Moldavia. So we tried to develop maritime spatial planning 10 years ago under the frame of ICZM, first of all, and secondly, transferring the experience from the European countries, mainly from Baltic Sea, first of all, and Mediterranean Sea, because we are in the same big basin. This presentation will have a little bit part of history, Black Sea study cases, some Black Sea study cases, and new approaches. Fortunately, we are also partners of European Maritime Spatial Planning Platform, and this makes us very happy because we could develop and this new field as Black Sea in Romania and Bulgaria only, because they are member states. But also we have all information, all knowledges, and all practices which could be applied at our costs. In the Black Sea, there are different countries, different policies, but common natural resources and common activities. We started 10 years ago in the frame of Plan Coast project, you hear about it, and we started with establishment of coastal line, very, very simple maps, and some study cases in Bulgaria and Romania and in Ukraine. After we made more and more complex maps regarding different processes, different fields, and starting with thematical maps, we elaborated complex and integrated maps, and we developed some internal national projects on maritime spatial planning, studying different location, different region, different study cases. These study cases were focused in different aspects, developing where there were locations with vulnerability for fisheries activities, for coastal defense, for pollution area, for coastal erosion, for some construction against coastal erosion, protected areas. We have many protected areas. And studied in generally all directives, European directives related to the sea. This knowledge were base for develop maritime spatial planning, starting with information, inventory of data, and continuing with planning, but only after the elaboration of European directive in 2014, we had the obligation to approach this aspect more seriously and to pass from the exercise in maritime spatial planning to real coordinates, geographical coordinates in space, and to real maps. We are based on many projects, European projects, and you heard about them. And this produced for us real data to go on. And now we have in developing 3 important projects of maritime spatial planning. 2 of them are under DG Mare coordination and funds, and 1 on the program ERANET COFASP, ECOST. For sure, we are related with the Maritime Spatial Platform, European platform. This will be a section in this forum, so I will not enter deeply in the subject, but it is focused on all European Sea, and fortunately my institute is part of these partnerships. The second one is a project which are focused on maritime spatial planning and fisheries. Fisheries are extremely important in the Black Sea, not only because it's a common resource, also because it's in danger and because needs management in the Black Sea. To can avoid in present being a fleet, a Turkish fleet, more than 1,000 times as numerical kind, then the possibility of natural resources to recover. So it's necessary to discuss all countries and to be involved in management aspects. This new project will apply new methodologies for the Black Sea, and the evaluation of fishery in relation with other activities will be under the program GRID, Displace and Invest. So for those who knows these aspects, you will see how complex they are, and we have all data but not practice, and we will develop to obtain a result on this. The MARSPLAN project is the most important because it has 3 important aims: to implement the directive of maritime spatial planning in Romania and Bulgaria, to support the elaboration, the establishment of authorities in this field, and to try to specialize in different fields and under the umbrella of maritime spatial planning our new colleagues, and to develop this. So it is based on creation institutional framework for Romania and Bulgaria in transboundary way, to consolidate cross-border cooperation, to develop cooperation with the other Black Sea countries, to set out vision and strategic goal for Black Sea in maritime spatial planning, mainly for land-sea interaction, to elaborate a general plan between Romania and Bulgaria, and to contribute to wider dissemination. In this project, there are 10 partners from Bulgaria and Romania, which are research institutions, which are port authorities and navigation administration, and one university, but also the governmental level represented by Ministry of Regional Development from both countries and Ministry of Environment. What we did till now, we elaborated an MSP methodology, which will be the support for the national methodology, and we need help in this for those who elaborated the methodology before. We elaborated MSP indicators and legislation who support maritime spatial planning. We inventoried activities on the sea and all ecological parameters, because one objective is to elaborate a complete analysis of Bulgarian, Romanian marine space. And we developed 5 very important study cases. One regarding stakeholders meetings based on a sketch match analysis in fishermen communities. One regarding land sea interaction and coastal erosion process and solution against coastal erosion to solve this. One regarding Burgas port with all coastal and marine activities and evaluation of conflicts meeting the area. One regarding aquaculture and fisheries, and one regarding new ship routing system in the territorial between Romania and Bulgaria. This is not all, because the project proposed too many things for 2 years, and because of this it was extremely hard for the team to respect terms and to make very large studies. At least we had to organize 10 thematical meetings, but must be elaborated, lessons learned based on problems and obstacles meet during this project. One guidelines for good practices, different sectoral plans, for sure maritime spatial strategies, vision, common management, transboundary plan, one very big between Romania and Bulgaria, and everything means this. And now very, very short, I will present some information regarding data collection and inventory. As I told you, we started from the coastal line establishment. Our institute had more than 40 years of measurements along the coast. There are very big differences between Romanian and Bulgarian coast. Romania has half Danube Delta impact on the sea, and half it's very crowded with many ports and tourism areas, very with big density during summer. But Bulgaria, it's rocky and focused only on tourism, has also many forests in the area, so the analysis must be very complex. We started with establishment of boundaries. We continue with meteorological and geological analysis with different parameters regarding the environment, and we studied also the eutrophication aspects, which are extremely important because of Danube. So biological parameters, continuing with living marine resources. I told you about fishery stocks, which are extremely important, not only as productivity, also as migration, because in this way we can know where stocks are focused and why fishermen are traveling each and everywhere to have a good catch. Also, it's a very important area for birds, because there are points of migration lines meeting there, and during there are habitats for wintering, habitat for feeding, and there are more than 10,000 exemplars or very specific rare threatened species. So we investigated all of this, continuing with underwater archaeology, which is less known and with only few information, not official. Also, the processes on the coast with impact on the sea, and port harbors activities. Habitats also are extremely important, and they were evaluated under all kind of classification, Natura 2000, for example, and develop many kind of conflicts, and you know this, between fishermen and restriction regarding the different species protection. And we have here some images regarding transport, for example, port activities, tourism on the sea and on the coast. We have exploiting of natural gas and petroleum, and these are extremely attractive from most developed country in the area. Telecommunication and the way of transport of these natural resources, non-living natural resources, energy transport, and macroeconomic context of different activities with impact from the coast to the sea, and also transportation and analysis of socio-demographical aspects. You can see here some solution regarding protection, coastal protection, because of coastal erosion, and we enlarged and nourished with sand last year's our beaches, which are good for tourism but not good for biodiversity. Areas are very crowded. Some images regarding transboundary approach between Romania and Ukraine, which is not member state, but you can see here a very interesting island, which is half of Ukraine, and relation with all traditional activities and necessity for assessment, because this island could close one gulf, transforming it in lagoons. Thank you for attention, and don't forget the science, because it could support everything in this.
Okay, thank you very much for very thorough presentation. The presentation will be available, so you can study it very carefully, but now we are open to questions.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I am Kemal Pınarbaşı. I'm a Turkish guy, so I can comment. I'm currently working in Spain. I wanted to ask about the effect of the directive of European Union, because there are two European Union countries in the area, and the others, like my country, Turkey, is not a member of European Union. And the MSP directive should be implemented until 2021. So how does it affect the communication ways of these countries, and how do you solve these problems because there are some obligations by European Union that you need to reach in Black Sea, but for some other countries it's not that important because they are not a part of Union. So I want to learn about it. Thank you so much.
Countries around the Black Sea are extremely different, but they are a family. We have collaboration in many fields, trying to standardize all kind of methodologies. As I know about Turkey, I'm very sure that every time Turkey wish to approach the European directives, I'm very sure. They are first in this. So not many differences, but as I know from my last meetings with Black Sea Commission and also European representative in ICCM and Maritime Spatial Planning, I know that the other countries of the Black Sea not agreed very much Maritime Spatial Planning, consider still part of ICCM, and not separate the both. I'm very sure that at European level also it is a debate on this, not everybody agreed. But at least I think it's not a problem. We should meet at the table and discuss details. I think it's not a problem because it's a very high development in territorial planning. So this transfer to the sea could be easier by a professional point of view, but must be understood and processed and interpreted.
Well, I'm again from Lithuania, Minister of Environment. I just wondered, when you were working, what was the formal frame of this cooperation? It was agreement between ministries, it was cooperation of scientific institutions, or what was the standard way? You got a commission just because it was some program and it was more, so to say, scientific rather than formal document outcome? What was it in general, these things?
This field in our countries started 10 years ago by a research institution in collaboration between Marine Research Institute with Urban Research Institute, and it is a collaboration between regional development, between Romanian and Bulgarian ministries in general. Because in Romania, the responsibility was till this year shared between Ministry of Transport, who coordinates the integrated maritime policies, and Ministry of Environment, who coordinates the National Committee of Coastal Zone, ICZM, and the Ministry of Regional Development, which coordinates the territorial planning, must be established as a real authority for maritime spatial planning, and in present is Ministry of Regional Development and Public Administration. It is the same in Bulgaria, and they collaborated since long time for terrestrial planning for a long time. So it was easy now, but because the project was so difficult, it started a little bit later, 2 months after starting. And as I told you, in parallel, authority was established, specialization of people also at governmental level, not only on the field, and the directive implementation. Initiation was based on the research institute result, but the leadership is of the ministry.
Any other question? If not, thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you.
And I believe we will listen in coming years a lot about development in the Black Sea area. And now we move to Belgium for Steven Vandenborre to tell about the Belgium MSP case.
Thank you. Good morning. When where's the pointer, please? Yeah. When I read the title of this talk, I think one of my main missions today will be to convince you all that the Belgian Maritime Spatial Plan has been much more exciting than the title might suggest. Belgium has quite a lot of experience with marine spatial planning, but it has also experience with the absence of marine spatial planning. And let me start by giving you 2 examples of the absence of marine spatial planning. We have indeed a beautiful coast, of course. I say we have, but that doesn't take away the fact that along our coast we have some long lines with apartment buildings, ribbon builded, the one next to the other. So some people often call it a new Atlantic wall, and that's not a compliment. Absolutely not. My first example, a second example, much more offshore, is the fact that Belgium is sometimes considered as a pioneer on the marine protected areas on offshore wind energy. That might be correct, but before the successes we have had, there were some failures as well. So it's and those failures often were due to exactly due to the lack of marine spatial planning. So we have experienced in practice why marine spatial planning is that important in order to develop our marine area. But watching this picture, one could think, why should such a beautiful, seemingly infinite space, full of opportunities, without obstructions, why should such an area be planned? Well, that's one of the reasons. This map depicts. Dates 2004. This map depicts dramatically the spatial claims that were in our maritime area in 2004. So it's a map that has been produced by the Golfer project, a very interesting and piloting project steered back in the time by a University of Ghent. So this is very speaking with respect to the need for spatial planning. And I don't think I have to say or I have to repeat that in 2014 or 2016 demands and claims for marine space are even have even increased. So one can think about food supply, renewable energy, protection against the rising of the sea level, and so on and so on. And this is one of the products of the Marine Spatial Plan we have produced, let's say, in 2014. So I make a leap now of 10 years. This is the map as part of the bigger Marine Spatial Plan, of course. This is the map that has been adopted in 2004, in 2014 by Belgian government. So this is quite a period that we have encompassed. But 2014, I think we can say that maritime spatial zoning, not bad, a first step, but maritime spatial zoning has been transformed into maritime spatial planning, and I think that's much better. I don't have to convince you all about that. How have we made that transformation? How have we made the change from let's say a first come first served approach, ad hoc, based on a few data with limited or no appropriate involvement of stakeholders and neighboring countries? How have we evolved to a real marine spatial planning process, a process based on the use of data, the involvement of stakeholders, neighboring countries, everyone who has an interest in marine spatial planning. And I have to thank the Participate project for this very speaking cartoon. I think, albeit they have allowed me unconsciously to use it. Thanks, and that's also a part of the exchange of data and speaking cartoons. It shows a bit how marine spatial planning should work. Well, first of all, the circumstances were in favor of our initiative, I think. Bottom-up, top-down, and straightforward. The bottom-up circumstances were, and I already showed it in the map. There were more and more conflicts, or shall I say challenges, with respect to the combined use of the maritime area by stakeholders and by values. Of course, the obvious conflicts between energy areas, renewable energy zones, and fishing. Fishermen, the conflicts or the challenges with respect to sand and gravel extraction and them having a place in Nature 2000 areas. So that was a very important driver for the marine spatial planning we have set up. new spatial claims. I already mentioned them, that it was a mix of existing and new spatial claims. So this came bottom up, top down, and I think merits go to European, the European level that has produced some interesting documents. 2008 there was a Commission communication, a roadmap for marine spatial planning. There was in 2014. Or when we started with the marine spatial planning, there was an European directive in the making. So that's also supported our case for a marine spatial planning process. And last but not least, a very interesting source of information for our project or for our process has been the documents of IOC, Charles Ehler and Fanny Douvre, their guidelines on marine spatial planning. That has been a very worthy document to see whether we didn't forget steps, whether we had opportunity to even improve. This is some steps we were already taking. So that was a top-down positive element that has driven our marine spatial planning process. And very straightforward, let's say political leadership. You choose your leaders, that's right. But once they are there, you're not sure that you will be able to convince them about the good effects, about the positive outcome of a certain process. And we were lucky to have a political leader, let's say, his name Johan van Lanotte. He was a heavyweight within politics, and he immediately understood the potential of the marine spatial planning process. There were already some projects, some initiatives running at administration's level, but he took it within his policy package. He pushed it forward at political level, and I think that has been one of the key factors to have our marine spatial plan in 2014. This is, in a nutshell, the procedure in order to show you how, in great lines, the stakeholders' involvement has been organized. Well, there is a pre-draft plan that is developed, that is drafted by the Secretary of State or the Minister responsible for the North Sea. That plan, that pre-draft plan, is submitted to the Advisory Council. So that's a first consultation moment where all other instances, all other authorities having a competency at sea are involved and are asked for their input. Of course, informally, they have been asked earlier in the process. But this is the formal process where they can advise on the pre-draft plan. The pre-draft plan becomes a draft plan after having taken into account the inputs that has been made by the Advisory Council, and after a first adoption by the Ministry of the Council of Ministers. So that's a first political. All over adoption of what will be presented to stakeholders and to the public. Now, after that process, after that adoption by the minister, the Council of Ministers, there is the formal public procedure. It's a procedure that is based on the SEA, Strategic Environmental Assessment, and it's a procedure that also evaluates or opens the floor to public with respect to the marine spatial, the draft marine spatial plan itself. So that last time in 2013, I think, there's our first marine spatial plan. process, I think there were almost 150 contributions, and that's quite a lot. I think all stakeholders, not all. That's of course one can always improve, but almost all stakeholders and authorities have commented, have proposed changes, and this has delivered a marine spatial plan implemented by decree. So very important to us is that it is legally enacted, so it's more than just a declaration, an intention, a combination of intentions by politicians that will be later on enacted. Now, Marine Spatial Plan is implemented or is enacted by a royal decree. What's the structure of the Marine Spatial Plan? Very briefly, well, we start with the stock taking. There's a spatial analysis of the Belgian part of the North Sea. We should know which space we have in front of us, we have on the table, in order to be able to make the good planning decisions. This is on the basis of the spatial analysis, we develop a vision, a long-term vision encompassing a period, let's say, of 20, 30 years. And that long-term vision is made very concrete in objectives, clear objectives with respect to, you can see them there, economic, social, ecological, and also safety issues. And we have also tried to develop indicators. That is not always easy. So it's a working point, I think, for our next marine spatial planning process to deliver more on the indicators in order to be closer to the good evaluation whether we have attained our goals with this marine spatial plan or not. And then the finishing touch, of course, is the package with measures, funding, instruments, and the map. The map is also one of the elements that has completed our marine spatial plan in 2014. Yeah. Well, some lessons. The marine spatial planning process is much more, of course, than the strict legal procedure. It's also education. It's awareness raising. It's training, building confidence, collecting data. So the procedure by itself is the way forward, the way we have to follow, and it's I think it has its merits, but you should consider or approach marine spatial planning process as a much broader process that depends on much more than only following strictly every procedural step. That brings me, and I don't have to convince you about stakeholders' involvement, but they are really, really important. That's for sure. To build support, one of the problems with our MPA and offshore initiatives before we were successful was that we didn't have a good planning process. So the support was lacking for some innovations, for some changes within the maritime area, the Belgian maritime area, and very important also their role in the collection of information and their role in checking that information, because there are a lot of workshops, I think, and a lot of discussions that already have taken place on data. Which data do we need? How do we produce more data? Where to find them? Well, I think often the problem is not the existence of the data, but the problem is the disclosure of those data. And stakeholders play a very important role in disclosing or in delivering data in order to make your process data-driven and much more a full process than working on the basis of very limited data. process flexibility. This is something that, of course, you always have to keep in mind where you want to go, which are your deadlines. But sometimes it's not bad to temporize within your process, to build in additional steps. When you have the impression that some stakeholders, some important authorities aren't following any longer, have some difficulty to catch up with the speed of the process. So this has been done within our Belgian maritime spatial planning process, and I think it was one of the factors that has contributed to, let's say, the success of it. You don't have to lose the momentum, but on the other hand, you have to get at your destination with as much as possible people on board, of course. Some more lessons. Involvement, adoption and implementation process. So if you manage to create a co-ownership of the marine spatial plan, you will be more successful. So their involvement of stakeholders doesn't stop when you have the marine spatial plan. Try as much as possible, as much as appropriate, to involve them within the implementation process, within the evaluation process as well. So that's an important lesson we have learned. And then a very nice expression. We already heard it a bit in another way by Kai this morning. Better have a good plan today than a better plan tomorrow. Of course, you have to find a balance between collecting enough information in order to start the marine spatial planning process, but a good marine spatial planning process, to my opinion, is a process that is cyclical, and that has an inbuilt procedure to improve itself every time again. So just launch a process. You have to jump, and you have to be confident that. Because of the cyclical nature of the process, the process will improve itself, and the marine spatial plan will improve itself. So that's my last lesson I want to give to you. Yeah, thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are running a bit out of time, but still we have a few questions. I would like to ask first question, how about neighbors? How about cross-border cooperation?
Well, there are some formal consultation moments. We have the ESPO convention, and we have the expert group. We have visited our neighbors quite often during the process, during the preparation of the marine spatial plan. But of course, there are informal moments. We know each other. We know the people who are working on the marine spatial planning in the neighboring countries, or we know they can forward us to the right people. Of course, it can still be better. It has already been said, we have made a Belgian national maritime spatial plan. I think in hopefully the near future, we will be able to broaden our scope and to go really to a more sea basin approached plan. So yeah, we have a lot of contacts. Contacts are good, but there's room for improvement, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here was the question.
I think it's linked to that. My name is Katrine Soma. I'm Norwegian living in the Netherlands. I was very much curious about the cooperation between Belgium and the Netherlands, and linked to that, if you could draw some, I think there are some differences. If you could address them and say a little bit about what could the Dutch learn from the Belgium experiences, and the other way around as well.
Well, I think, what could they learn? No, it's sensible to say that. It's sensitive to say that. Maybe, and that has to do with the political leadership I mentioned. I don't say they don't have political leadership, but I can imagine that would they have had the minister we have now, maybe they would have been a bit earlier in having their marine spatial plan. Okay, they have a much larger area, but okay, that gives opportunities, a lot more area, a lot more space to occupy, to do what you want to do with your maritime policy. But on the other hand, you need more data, and you have a bit the luxury of your choice. So yeah, I don't know. It's my answer isn't that good, and it's because it's a bit sensible, no, sensitive.
Okay, let's leave it a bit open.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and now we move closer back to Baltic Sea, and I will give floor to Anni to talk about Estonian experience.
Now it's on. Okay. So my name is Anni Konsap. I come from Estonia, as said, and I will give a 8 minutes overview of the 2 last years in Estonia. I remember at the last Baltic MSP Forum, I was also a bit critical, talking about stakeholders. This time I'm even worse. So the good, the bad, the ugly. I will start with the ugly, so that when you go to lunch, you will have this light feeling that MSP in Estonia is basically a walk in the park. Oh, my name again, so you would remember. Picture this. It's year 2014, foggy autumn day in Tallinn, and things are looking quite grim for us. We have 2 pilot projects. In 2014, we have 2 pilot projects halfway done, both with quite heavy problems. First of all, there's this pilot area in the Pärnu Bay. And the... oh, yes, I can use this. The problems with this plan is that the local fishermen are really worried about the new developments behind this Kihnu Island here. This is an area designated for offshore energy. And the local fishermen are afraid that 80% of Estonian fish comes from Pärnu Bay area. It's a very important fishing ground, that the cables will be brought to land from here and to here, and this will cut off fishing. And also this Kihnu Island here is very opposed to this offshore area, so there are big disputes and arguments going on. Also, the Hiiu Island plan has its own ugliness going on. These are, again, areas designated for offshore energy, and this time local people and local municipalities are really against all kinds of developments around Hiiu Island. This ugliness is still going on. We have 3 court cases on this, but as I said, I won't linger on this any longer, because I want to talk about how things are getting better. So, in addition to these 2 quite difficult pilot MSPs, we have other things going on which make things difficult for us. We have this preparation for Baltic SCOPE, which I'm sorry all Baltic SCOPE friends, but is not least time consuming. It's a lot time consuming. In July 2014, we had the MSP directive thrown our way, so now we have the assignment to do maritime spatial planning. The directive led to changes in the national plan, which meant that since the new Planning Act came to force, Estonia brought MSP from the regional level to national level, so the central government is now in charge. And for this, I have no one else to blame but myself. But this is the reality we're living in. So by mid-2015, we're in a quite bad situation. We have no resources, we have no money allocated for MSP, we have no people. Basically, there's no interest from ministries, from agencies, from stakeholders, because they don't understand what it is for, why it's necessary. But we have the order to do maritime spatial planning, the order from European Commission and also from our national maritime policy. So when you're, I don't know, when you're in the low points, we all know that the only way out of there is up. So this is what we're trying to do now. And in 2016, things are really looking to start going up. Thanks to one thing to thank for is actually Baltic SCOPE, which has helped us a lot in analyzing our sectors more for the in order to start the official process of maritime spatial planning, to do the I don't know, baseline studies of the situation in Estonia, and also data gathering has been going on in 2016, and different baseline studies which we couldn't have dreamed of in 2014, but thanks to also national funding, we've managed to do this. We've researched ice, bats, birds, and the most interesting thing for us is this economic impact assessment model, which will basically mean that we're trying to figure out how much is each square kilometer of our marine areas worth. And this model hopefully will be ready by the 1st of December. So things are looking good, and hopefully they will stay that way, although I'm quite sure things go in waves, so we have a low point at some point coming up. But latest by January, we want to start our officially our process, although we really think that we are already doing it. But the law is the law. In February, Baltic SCOPE will officially end, which will also give input to our national process. And by December 2020, the latest, we will have the plans adopted and ready. Although, I must say, again, that maritime spatial planning is a cycle, and I think the plans will never be completely adopted and ready. But what the past 2 years have taught us, I'm glad I don't see any Estonians here. It's in Estonian, but still I took the liberty to use a bit of censorship. What I want to say with this picture is that if you're basically neck deep in something, let's say dirt, then you can't let your head down. And this applies to everything in life, but right now I want to apply this to any kind of maritime spatial planning process in any country. And this also applies to Estonia. And please remember that maritime spatial planning is a learning process. And you learn as you go, but remember to keep your head up as you go. Thanks. I'm right on time.
Thank you. But still, I think as we were a bit late, we deserve 5 minutes to take from the lunch and ask some questions. Yeah.
Hi, it's Alec from WWF again. I'd just like to ask, what lessons did you take from your pilot projects about bringing fisheries into the MSP process, and what have you taken from those pilot projects that you're using for your national MSP plan?
The thing we learned about fisheries is that you have to take them on as a partner from day one. What these pilot MSPs, I can say did wrong, they didn't know any better, is that they took fisheries on when they already had like drafts, some kind of drafts ready, some kind of ideas put down, and the fishermen felt as it was kind of an attack against them. They felt that big changes are like put on them, and they can't do anything about it. So all they talked about was conflicts, conflicts, conflicts. We had lots of meetings with 80 angry fishermen, everyone with their fists in their pockets, wanting to, stop the process and all kinds of things. So right now we've learned that we have to start talking to them from day one, and we've already done that. And maybe it's another thing to learn is that it doesn't only apply to fisheries, other sectors as well, is that don't try to leave someone out of discussions just because it might be uncomfortable. Opposition or arguments are basically a way to truth, which is too much, but okay, something like that.
Yeah, Kemal Pınarbaşı from Asti, Spain. So I would like to ask that, it's a curiosity question, that I saw that you are from Ministry of Finance. So what I saw in Belgian plan, okay, there was a Ministry of North Sea. In so many cases, it's Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Transportation, maybe in German case. But in your case, it's Ministry of Finance. So can we say that economic dimension of MSP is more important there, or why Ministry of Finance? Thank you.
I don't know why Ministry of Finance. It's a political decision. The thing with Estonia is that in the Ministry of Finance, we have two ministers. One is the Minister of Finance. The other is Minister of Administrative Affairs. I think it's the right term in English. And he's in charge of all kinds of regional development. So we are under him. I think it's good that we are not in the sectoral ministry, that we're not in the Ministry of Environment or Ministry of Economics or Transport or something like that. That we, as our aim is to try to balance things, then we don't have our own sectoral interests that we have to stand for. So this maybe makes things a bit easier for us. It's always difficult to explain why we are in the Ministry of Finance. There is a lot of politics in there. We have to do what we can here, but I think we're in a good place right now.
Thank you. Any other quick questions? If not, then we deserve lunch. So, no, we are not ready for lunch yet.
Thanks very much. It's not a question, it's a request, actually. I'm undertaking a piece of work for the bonus programme, and I'm sure a lot of you who've worked around the Baltic on various projects over the last 5-10 years are aware of the bonus programme. It's got to the point now where the bonus programme is interested in how much it's managed to influence things around the Baltic states. So I've constructed a very brief questionnaire, about sort of 5 minutes worth of questions, trying to look at your perception of how the bonus programme has penetrated into decision making, policy making, planning and science uptake. I've got hard copies of the questionnaires on a table just outside of the main meeting room where we were first thing this morning. I've also got an interactive version of the questionnaire which is available as a PDF, and if you stop by and say hello, I'm happy to email that to you. You can complete it back in your office, circulate it around anyone else who you think it might be relevant to, and just email it back to me and I can extract the information from that. But as I say, it's just a plea just to stop by, say hello, and maybe give me the benefit of your experience of how the bonus programme has delivered over the last few years. Thank you.
Okay, request noted. Now we deserve lunch.